Hello, everybody. Welcome to Be Yourself podcast, where I talk to people who I admire for being unapologetically themselves. Today, my guest is Kateryna Chaikovska, who is my friend. She's a Ukrainian. She is a psychiatrist, a specialist in addiction. She also has vast experience managing medical institutions. So, Katerina, welcome. Thank you for joining.
Hi everyone.
Hey. So, I think my first question uh, will be a pretty ordinary one. Can you please shortly tell us about yourself? Where are you at the moment? And what's up? What's going on in your life in general right now?
Okay, so as it was mentioned, I'm psychiatrist and addiction professional, and I'm from Ukraine, but now I'm currently located in Houston, Texas. So um, while I'm staying here, I'm exploring not only professional topics, but exploring American culture, Texas culture, and different stuff. It is very exciting, very interesting for me, and especially Texan people. They are very friendly, very open, and so I enjoy staying here. And about my professional professional doctor's life. So firstly, I'm a doctor, medical doctor, and I was working as a district psychiatrist in governmental clinic in Kyiv for 10 years. And then, so I start um, to like move on the way to management, medical management. I obtained the
Mhm.
education of managing of medical institutions, and then so I was working as the head of the department in governmental clinic, and then as chief medical officer.
You were working as an employee,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
First, working for
yeah.
someone.
Working just a regular doctor after the university, like regular district psychiatrist.
And what did you graduate? Which university did you graduate?
Bogomolets National Medical University, and so it was a long time ago, more than 14 years ago. And so then I switched to management, but so I still was working as a doctor and consulting patients. I prefer working in ambulatory clinics, so not to have night shifts and so on, because it is very difficult, especially for women, to work in a.
Yeah.
So, and then I was working as chief medical officers in small addiction centers in Kyiv. And then in 2018, I decided to start running my own business, and I found the clinic, Sunrise Clinic. It was located in Kyiv, and we had two branches in different neighborhoods, and we were working for 4 years. And when the war had started, we just stopped our activity because of safety questions, because we had a lot of women in our team and they had to move away from the city. So from this period, so I just had private consultations. So I provide more than 200 free consultations for people in need, like a volunteer doctor in
Hmm.
2022. And then so it was like not much for me, and I decided to take part in some.
Not enough. It was not
Yeah,
enough for
exactly.
you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was not enough. So I didn't want to stop, and I decided to take part in projects. So with my colleagues from Nikolaev city, we created a Spokiy project. It is the project of mental health of territorial defense members and their families in face of Russian aggression. And for this project, we've got the grant from public affairs section of U.S. Embassy in Ukraine, as we
Hmm.
are the alumni of American programs. So I was taking part in UBL Pi program. It was really awesome, and I truly recommend people from business area who want to know more about working with Americans, to know more about American type of running a business. So to enroll in this program, it is really cool. And
Yeah.
so and after this, we are able to apply for small grants for alumni. So US
Mhm.
Embassy support us, and now we are continuing to work at this project. So it is going to the end. It will be ended in June, but we're
Mhm.
still working on final conference, final events. And if you are interested to know more about volunteering, to know more about mental health of people who are involved in military action, so welcome to our events in June. So it is now.
Whoa. Such a beautiful way of just telling us everything. But let's just break this down a little bit because I think that even though it seems like what you have done was like a short stretch, but it actually has taken like more than 15 years, what you have described.
Yeah,
And it seems like your entire life and career, as it seems like it was all meant to happen. You know what I'm saying? Everything complemented the next phase of your life.
yeah,
And from this point forward, can I ask you this question? Was it all smooth all the time? Like, oh, when you got your first job as a doctor, or like, were you always getting what you wanted, or you sometimes had to go with something that maybe you didn't like, maybe you had to persevere, show some willpower? As a woman, as a Ukrainian woman, it's super interested, especially knowing I know you that you have a successful clinics, private clinics in Kiev, and I was always curious what type of challenges you had to overcome in the early phases of your career. Maybe you can talk about that.
yeah. So of course, this way was not smooth at all. So it was hard for the first time, like when I was working in government clinics. So I enjoy my work. I like the working in a polyclinic framework, like when you are observing patients for their lifetime. Yes, so for a long time. So it is not like in the hospital when you see some person just for a 10 or 14 days, and then you even cannot know what is happened with him or with her. So
Yeah.
uh, as for me, the polyclinical work is more interesting because you can be in touch with family of this patient. You can improve the whole life, the quality of life of this family and this patient. So it is interesting. But of course, if you know the Ukrainian reality of doctors work, it is very, so the doctors have very low salary, and it was a problem because we had um, to combine the private consultations, the extra work with regular daily activity at the working place. So of course it was hard.
Mm-hmm.
Then so that's why I decided to go like higher, to think about management, to think about some head positions, because it could help like to grow, and especially in salary. uh,
For all the medical people who are involved in medical sphere, for all the doctors who are listening to us right now. By the way, for those of you guys who don't know, Bogomolцы University is probably the only university in Ukraine that is recognizable all over the world. So basically, we have a lot of international students, right? Well, at least before shit hit the fan, before the COVID and the war, obviously. We had a lot of international students here who came to get a degree because this degree is pretty much valid for even working in American hospitals. Well, at least that's something that I've heard. You can correct me if I'm wrong.
so you're close. You're close.
Close.
Yeah, but not 100%, because yeah, so you can, if you are an Ukrainian doctor, you can evaluate your diploma in the USA. So you can like send your documents, and they, especially if it is Bogomolets National University. So I don't know about any other universities, because I didn't study here, so I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think it is possible from other universities too, maybe. Um, so you can evaluate this diploma and have the document that you have a higher medical education and specialty in some discipline. But to work as a doctor, so it is enough to work like the somewhere in medical field. So the employer will found out that you have the higher education and you are a medical doctor. But to work as a medical doctor, you have to pass the exams and go to residency again if you was a real working doctor, or go to residency if you are just finished university and have only a diploma without the internship. So in America, residency, it is our Ukrainian internship. So you need
Mm-hmm.
to pass 3 exams. It is step exams. They're not easy, but it is real. So if you will work on it, you can do it, and then you will go to residency and start it from the beginning. But it is a job, so it is not volunteer work, so they could pay for your work. It is not so much as regular doctors have, but it is at least something. And then after finishing the residency, so you could work the medical doctor, and it is very like high salary job in the United States.
Well, but education and the degree is not everything. I mean, I think we spoke about this some time ago, and you told me that a lot of headhunters want you because of the administrative and managerial experience that you possess working in Ukraine, right? But because you have no what like experience working specifically in American medical industry, right? It's not a matter of your diploma, it's a matter of having this experience, right? Specifically working in the hospital or somewhere
Yeah,
in the country, inside the
because
country.
its
Hmm.
system is completely different. So the healthcare system is completely different, and you have to learn it from the beginning, because it is not, it doesn't have any connection with Ukrainian system of healthcare. So of course, this extra education, extra exams, they are really needed, because you need to learn how it is here. So, but if you're a medical doctor, so you can still work as a manager in medical field, in a field of diagnostic, of laboratories, of some medical devices. So you could have a good job, so normal job here, but not to have a practice. So to have a practice, you
Yeah.
have to have a license, and this all
Okay.
process of exams and residency, it is the way to get a license here.
So that's all boils down to acquiring this
Yeah,
license. This basically this pass golden ticket to get this high paying job. And we all know that doctors in the United States are paid pretty handsomely.
yeah,
That's okay. But let's backpedal a little bit. So you said that even in Ukraine, you had to go through blood and sweat and tears and do stuff that you not didn't necessarily enjoy. Well, you did enjoy it from the moral perspective, right? Because you were in service, and that's something that you keep doing with your projects. Even now, you voluntarily, as you mentioned, help people, mentally with the PTSD. Is that right? The correct like post traumatic
so
post war
some
syndromes, right?
have PTSD, some could doesn't, but so yeah.
Yeah, and but you wanted to obviously have more financial freedom and that's why you decided that you would proceed to, learning like the ropes and acquiring the knowledge of managing medical institutions,
So,
right? And how did you do that?
so
So, did someone help you?
no, no. The answer is no, no. Nobody was helping me. But so when I had some experience in management, I decided that I know the whole like way of functioning of medical institutions, so I know how to be, yeah, from the beginning, so from the lowest stage, like how to be an employer, how to be a manager. So, and when I shift to management of medical,
How to be a nurse, I guess, right?
so
Like all the stage.
no, I was never been a,
Not
yeah, no,
never been. Okay.
I'm sorry guys, but no.
It's okay. It's
Yeah,
okay.
I had one day of nurse practice at the university, child's department, and it was enough for me. So not my type of job. It is really hard. And so, but I know how this institution have to work. I know all the documentation, and so then I decided that I can be something more than just a manager. So I could obtain the leadership position.
Were you working? Sorry to interrupt you. Were you working in a governmental clinics as as a manager or in a private
So
one?
I was working firstly in governmental, then so I went to private clinics, obtained the education, and they have a free position of chief medical officer. So they proposed me as I had an education in medical management. So I
Cool.
was working in two private private clinics, and then I decided to went back to governmental. They proposed me to be the head of department. So it is not the head of all clinic, but it was the head of department. And
How old were you there at that point?
uh, I'll tell you, I was 29, something like,
29.
yeah,
You were offered the head of pretty much the whole department
yeah, yeah,
position.
yeah. I was the youngest one.
Dope. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. So and then so in half a year I decided that it is not enough again. So you think I like to have a goals and to have a results of my job, and so I can do more than just, so some decisions they were very hard in terms of, so I when I want to implement something, so it is just went very slow because of governmental system. So,
Yeah.
and I had a lot of energy, a lot of ideas, and I want to implement them, and I don't want to wait just to. I felt like I'm losing a time. So I
Hmm.
decided to get a license for private practice in Ukraine, and it was really hard. So it needs some money, it needs a lot of efforts, and it is the procedure. So it is not maybe so expensive like to get a license in the USA, but so I had to start the firstly the firm, like, so all the
Hmm.
lawyers work, so I need to have some consultations and so on. So I just have a credit from the bank and start to do it, and that's it. So
As easy as that, but it wasn't easy at
no,
all.
no, it was a
And
way. So I was waiting for every paper, and it was,
yeah,
yeah,
bureaucratic sort of hell. Yeah, even though right now the system is much more simplified, I guess, right?
yeah,
With the DIA system
yeah, yeah,
for all the foreigners who are listening, we are actually pretty advanced now, and in terms of getting some documents, opening a business, or getting, I'm not sure if it applies to medical realm because it's got its
yeah.
own rules, right? But
Issues are still a long way, but to found
mhm.
some small organization like LLC
Entity.
in
Mhm.
United States. So it is easier now, much easier.
Or you mean in the
No,
US?
no,
And we're getting there. In Ukraine
Ukraine.
too, yeah, for sure.
Ukraine.
For sure,
So
for
in
sure.
the US, to open LLC is fast, but the other processes are very slowly, very bureaucratic, and you have to wait for paper letters for a month to do some kind of stuff. So in Ukraine, it is much easier, much faster. It is true.
Katya, here's the question on more of a personal side of things. To get through all these challenges, to hit different bumps in the road and still continue moving, would you say that, well, here's the question, what has been driving you? What has been the driving force for you to not stop and maybe not settle with just a job? Because right, a lot of people just don't decide that maybe this type of sacrifice, because I'm sure that you had to sacrifice a lot of things as you were going up and chasing your dream. What was this force and what was this something that kept you going on your way to opening your own business and getting to this financial independence?
So first one, it is love to my job. So I really love to be a doctor, and I love to work with patients. I love when I see the results of treatment. So it is, and mental health is very special area. It is not for all. So not everyone would enjoy this profession, but I love it. I don't know why. Just I love it from the university. So and I still love it. So it is my way. But the in terms of financial questions, so I have a daughter, and it was the main issue, like that pushing me upper and upper because kids.
Main reason that
Yeah,
was pushing you, yeah.
so yeah, kids need all the best, and I wanted to give better future for my kid, to give her private education, better education, to get her an opportunity to learn languages, to attend, I don't know, some lessons, some activities, to give her a chance to see the world, to travel from the young age. So it was the main, I think.
You are a classic example of a self-made woman, and I'm really, really proud that I know you, and you serve as an example to all the ladies, Ukrainian ladies who might be looking for shortcuts, right? But you are a testimony that everything is possible, right? I think the advice that we both can give to Ukrainians is to start learning the language,
Yeah.
because the language opens up the wide variety of opportunities.
Yeah, in terms of studying, in terms of personal growth.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. How about this question? You said that you really enjoy to see the fruits of your work, right? To see that the people are getting healthy. Well, by the way, guys, I think we haven't stressed this enough. Katya works with people having addiction problems. That's her main expertise. So when we talk about patients, we are talking about people having these mental problems and some addiction problems. And maybe on this point, because this is what you highlight in one of your stories recently, can you just give us a general overview of the type of illnesses that you deal with and why these addiction problems are like are not viewed as a disease but some kind of a personal problem, right? You wrote about that sometimes, when people hear that you work with a psychiatrist, they kind of don't want to deal with you thinking that there's something wrong with you, as compared was when you have a problem with your teeth, you go to dentist, which is absolutely normal. So can you talk about the perception of these type of diseases, maybe in Ukraine and in the US?
Yeah, of course. So I'm working with any kind of mental illness as a psychiatrist. So it is my like major in psychiatry, and and so the main patients have both some mental health issues and so the comorbid diseases, and
Mhm.
they could be really hard. So be like hard patient, and but we still have a stigma of mental health illness, and it is
Yeah.
really huge in Ukraine. Even here in the United States, this stigma exists too. But
Hmm.
what is better here, what is more like good for me, to my opinion, so the people are not ashamed of telling they're going to psychiatrists. So
Yeah.
when we are talking with just Americans, regular people from, I don't know, from the neighborhood, and they discovered that I'm psychiatrist, so they start to share. At that moment, they start to share like, oh, I was in psychiatrist office once, or I'm
Cool.
attending psychiatrist every month, I taken this and these pills. So, and it is absolutely normal. And yeah, so they ask, do you have these pills in Ukraine? They really help me. And so
They're opening up about all the pills, all the
yes, yes,
antidepressants that they take.
yes.
Okay,
And
that's interesting.
yeah, and sometimes it could be a little bit controversial. For example, so I met some lady that told me that ketamine saved her life because she was struggling with very severe medical treatment resistant depression for 20 years, and then doctor prescribed her ketamine therapy because it is like the line for treatment for resistant depression. So it is a protocol
Mhm.
in the United States and in Ukraine. So we are just talking about this type of therapy.
Yeah.
So it was the first conference a couple of weeks ago on psychedelic assisted therapy, and it was just a discussion like that is good.
It's a ketamine is a psychedelic.
Yeah, yeah, it is small psychedelic, so it is um the drug for anesthesia, for short time anesthesia, and it could have the dissociative effects, and it could provoke some hallucinations. And yeah, but in terms of medical resistant depression, so it is really helpful, it works, and it is used in America here for, I don't know, maybe 10 or more years, and it is
Yeah.
used successfully. So now there's the one of one part of scientific society is like for this treatment, another is against, and it is just a discussion. So we are not even close to use it as regular. So but here it is like, oh wow, it saved my life. And so this lady, she was sharing her experience, and she looks really great. She had 3 kids, she's living a full life. So
And she takes it regularly, right?
also
It's her.
she just took a course of it, and that's it.
Oh, okay.
So her severe depression just stopped, and now she's living well, just with psychotherapy sometimes, and that's it.
Yeah.
So the
Okay.
approaches could be different, and the system could be different, but so I love this job. I love this.
And you follow up on the results of your patients. So in a way, your patients become your friends. Is that a fair statement to
So,
say? Because
so
they open up so much about themselves to you. and
if
and can you also tell us how much of a caring doc, like, you see, a lot of times I really can't understand how can doctors not feel this whole disappointment. You see, like, to be, because if you are feeling the pain of the other person, carrying all this pain inside of yourself could be really, really difficult. So how do you balance it out? Like because you have so many people who are struggling, and you must be really strong person. Is that the case?
So maybe in some part, so I don't know about my personal strong gravity. So I don't know.
Willpower.
Yeah, so I don't know, but so of course you are connected with people's life, with people struggling with their difficult stories, and sometimes it could be hard, especially
Yeah.
if it is psychotic patients, so they are just harder to work with. And of course you have to cope with this stress, but the first thing, so I'm used to it. So I'm working for more than 14 years now.
You don't get over emotional. You
Yeah,
just know how to.
yeah. So, for the first time when I was after university, of course, it was a little bit harder. The second part, so it is like in terms of be a friend, so if I were a psychotherapist, so it is strongly prohibited to be a friend with the patient, with the client,
Mhm.
because it is ethic question, so you have
Yeah.
not to. But in terms of general psychiatry or addiction psychiatry, it is not so strict. So of course
Yeah.
we have the boundaries, we have the level of like enrollment in patients' personal life, but
Yeah.
we can talk, we can be like more than just a doctor and patient after treatment. So of course it is possible, like with any other doctor. So if you go into, I don't know, a cardiologist, and then you have some, I don't know, topics to talk, so it is absolutely normal if you are talking about some not connected with cardiology.
Yeah.
So this same.
And it also calms people down.
Yeah,
You know, here is something that our listeners don't know is that I myself kind of work with you because I've had some sort of a deep problem with certain substances, and what I have discovered for myself is that when you understand that your problem that you have been hiding for such a long time is kind of universal. Not universal, but you're not the only one with this problem, right? You become less shameless about talking about it. And when you can talk about it, when some other people can relate to your experience, it becomes much more easier to get along with this thing. So first thing that you explained to me that you have other people, and you also mentioned the examples of girls and boys that are absolutely normal folks, but who just also happen to have this sort of illness. So I think our mental, and it's really I work with both. I have a psychologist, right, and you are a psychiatrist. It seems to me that like the only difference between you guys is that you have the authority to prescribe drugs, like to prescribe certain medications, because you are also incredibly powerful as a speaker, as someone who can calm you down.
yeah,
And that's what I noticed in you is that you are also a psychologist, but who also can have the right to
yeah.
and know what to prescribe.
And a doctor is working not only with drugs, but is working with language, with speaking, with
Yeah,
calming down.
it's a therapy.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
the I'm not providing like psychotherapy, but I have the education in one kind of psychotherapy. But so I just don't like this type of work. It is more like more slowly, and it is,
Yeah.
for me it is hard, as I am, this conception of box jumpers and box steppers. When you are like result oriented, it is from famous coach Mel Robbins. She's very popular here in the United States, and she was talking about the box jumpers type of person and box steppers. So box jumpers, they love to see the fast result. They are like, you know, goal oriented, more goal oriented. So
Yeah.
for me,
Yeah.
psychiatrist is more goal oriented, more faster than psychotherapist that needs to wait, needs to be
That's a
more,
good point. Yeah.
yeah, so
Yeah.
need to be more analytical, so to analyze, to see, to observe. And so it is not my type of like thinking. So I'm faster, I like to see results in other ways.
Could this also be the reason why Americans are more prone to talking about this and it's more of an acceptable practice for them? Because, like they want to see the result faster, right? And maybe still here in Ukraine we have some kind of reluctance when it comes to taking certain medication. Do you think like, right? Well, just like we don't like operations, my mom and my dad still think that if someone's going to operate you, right, and shut you down for 4 hours to fix something in your body, it's super scary, and and you should be really really afraid. While it's just a general practice in the entire world.
Yes,
So, do you think there is a mentality problem
maybe.
still?
Yeah, so maybe it is the one point. The second one is, so the stigma is lower here. So it is exists, but not so hard as in Ukraine, and because
Yeah.
it is like Soviet time, the heritage, when
Yes.
psychiatry
Yeah.
was the something like a prison. So psychiatric clinic would be used for punishment. So that's why
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
stigma is higher in Ukraine. But
Frunze 103.
yeah,
We got.
but
We even have a
it
joke.
is really
I've
great
heard this
hospital.
joke.
So it is the main hospital in Ukraine. They
Yep, it's a main
so,
hospital. But in my childhood, we were joking that there was a joke that, hey, you want to go to Frunze 103?
yeah,
Like you are a weirdo. You're a psycho.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it is really, they have truly amazing doctors and department. They are very professional in diagnostics. So it is one of the best, I think, in post-Soviet countries. So one of the best clinics, and but so
Yeah.
this conception have a negative side in the US. So they are overprescribing drugs. So they, especially
It's
opioid.
too easy to get
Yeah,
a drug.
yeah,
If it's too difficult here, it's too
yeah,
easy in the US, right? Xanax, here you go.
yeah, and opioids. So, and it is a huge problem of overprescribing opioids here. So if you have a pain, or for example, if you are going um have a visit to dentist, especially for small operations, so they prescribe you opioids like this. So it is very easy, and then people could become addicted to opioids, and then they could shift to street opioids. So they have an opioid epidemic now, right now, and the very high rate of overdose and so on. So
Do you think that since they treat people with opioids, this is the reason why the opioids drugs also prevail on the streets?
yeah, yeah, because so when person became addicted, they need more and more like drugs. So in some period of time, doctor could say no, so I will not prescribe because I think you have a problem in this area, and this person is struggling from pain, from chronic pain, for example, and he's going to illegal pharmacy stores and buy
Yeah.
illegal drugs, and this illegal drugs is produced in illegal laboratories. So they're looking just like a regular pills.
Give an example of popular opioids that people buy on the streets in America. The
So
names.
the most scare is fentanyl. So it is, we don't use it in Ukraine. So in Ukraine it is just um, drug for providing the general anesthesia. So we don't
Mhm.
treat type of this drug.
It's only available for doctors who are about to to make do an operation, right?
Yeah.
Hmm.
So we don't use it like just regular pill. It is very strong, it is highly addictive, and the risk of overdose is increased like hundreds of times, comparing for heroin, for example. So it is very, yeah. So
It's just for relaxation. It's just relaxing your
it is
brains.
just regular opioid, so it could cause euphoria, and the reason of death is the like blockage of breathing center in your brain, so they just stop to breathe, and it is the one problem. So just fentanyl addiction. The second one, that street sellers of drugs, they add this fentanyl to other drugs like cocaine, like cannabinoids, and so on, to increase the effects. So they have a dirty drugs, and the even, I don't know, small kids from middle school could smoke some cannabis, and then so they could die from
Yeah.
overdose of fentanyl. So it is really hard and very difficult problem here, and they
And fentanyl, it's produced in China, as far as I remember, in
so
the most cases.
the, maybe the medical one. So I don't know, the producers, maybe it could be produced in China, but they have the Mexican border here, and they have a lot of illegal laboratories. So
In Mexico.
yeah.
Ooh, that's some dark side that you are revealing of the American life.
Yeah.
And I think the number of the overdose death is just over the roof, right?
Yeah.
There's like there's just an epidemic, and
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's
You're-
the leading country for this type of casualties, right?
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So let's shift to more of a positive topic. So, talking about the Spokiy. So first of all, you were kind enough to introduce me to this program that the American Council is offering, the Ukrainian Innovation and Leadership
Yeah.
Program, or Business and
Yeah.
Leadership.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you participated in it. Correct me if I'm wrong. In 2020.
Yeah. 2021. So from 20 to 21.
Yeah. So what were and you alongside the other entrepreneurs from Ukraine,
Yeah.
you went and you visited. Can you tell us about this experience, and also what have you learned? What are the main lessons that you learned from that particular experience in the US?
Yeah, so firstly, we had the online education. So it was COVID time, and we have like a half a year of online education. The lectures, from amazing lectures from national centers, so sources and in, so it was like theoretical part, and it was
Hmm.
really amazing. It is simply, so I like the American way of studying. It is not overcomplicated. It is just like just on topic and simply and easy to remember, and so it is awesome. And
Yeah.
then we have the second part. It was like more precisely um, for your profession. So as you mentioned, we have a different entrepreneurs from different kinds of professions and areas,
Mhm.
and they found the host in here in America to, like, for us to know more about our um, piece of business area. Yeah. So as for me, my host was professor from Texas, and he was running an addiction clinic. So he was
Wow.
like me, but much cooler. And it was really interesting to have a discussion with him, to know more about um, the running of medical business in the United States, the functioning of the system. He sent me all laws and regulations of these treatment programs in the United States. So we were discussing it. It was really cool. And after
Mhm.
that, they provide, so American councils provide us the study tour to the United States. So we visited Washington, then Austin, Texas, San Diego, and Los Angeles. And we were exploring different types of businesses, different types of non-governmental foundations, non-profit organizations, the business accelerators. So different types of activities here in the USA. It was like 10 days, and they
Mhm.
are full of knowledge, full of information. And
Mhm.
not the least part was the networking with Ukrainian guys, because they are really amazing. And so it was great experience, and I didn't expect like the discussing and talking about business with people from different area could be so helpful, because on that times I attend, I don't know, tons of conferences in
Yeah.
in medicine, and in some point, so they start to be a little bit boring for me, because I know everyone, I know everything. So not everything, of course, I always have something to learn, but it's
Yeah.
kind of like typical conferences, and I wanted to know more about business, about different experiences. And it was really helpful to know about their challenges and problems, and what they are thinking about business systems and running a business. So it was really great. So I truly recommend to enroll in this program, to try to have a chance, because it is really helpful. It changed the mindset, and America is very different from Ukraine. So we still have a lot of same points, same problems, but it is different, and it is very useful to learn to discover something not usual for you, especially in terms of business. So you are growing very fast in this program.
Well, I always felt that the most creative solutions come as a result of intersection between different areas of business, and as long as, like, when you stay just in your own vacuum in your own area, you just might not realize that the person who's like presenting seemingly a whole an entirely different business, right, actually has got so much in common with you. And I actually on board with you 100% that uh, Americans, like, they're open-minded in a way. They're as open-minded as Ukrainians, right? And I think that this type of mentality and openness is the reason, right? Is some kind of a foundation for us having this kind of great relationships, because cultures, in a way, they are similar, right? And moreover, these connections and this experience help you to find investments for this new project that you are running right now, right?
Kind of, yeah. So it is not,
Kind of
yeah, because it is not the investment like it is.
investments, but or a
Yeah,
grant,
yeah, yeah,
right? Some kind of,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. Okay, that's amazing. I mean, have you had have you had some sort of a temptation in your life to maybe just drop doing business altogether, maybe focus on your family? Because you know what I've heard, maybe this is a misplaced question, but what I heard from one woman, she's a businesswoman. She said that if you are a woman in business, you have to get used to the thought that you will disappoint someone. Either you will disappoint your family because you're late staying at work, right? Or you will disappoint your coworkers, your employees because you're taking care of the family. So maybe you can tell me and other women in business, how are you dealing and how are you balancing out your personal life and your professional life?
It is the most difficult part. So, to be a woman not easy, especially if you are active and you want to be more than a housewife, so it is okay to be at home, to stay with kids. So I truly appreciate the woman who did this choice. And but for me personally, so it is not enough. I want to, like, to rise.
Create
Yeah,
something,
I
yeah.
create, I want to help, so I have a lot of energy, and I'm over energetic if I'm sitting at home, and I think it is like more than enough for my family. So it is better for me to work. And
Okay. Okay. For your husband and your kids, so it's
yeah,
better that sometime you don't spend at home, right?
yeah, because I'm too active, man, sometimes. So especially,
Where do you get the energy? Where do you find what is the source of energy for
so
you?
what was helpful for me, it is like to be more conscious about the healthy living, about healthy lifestyle. So I decided to stop drinking alcohol at all, but I've never had some type of problem with it. But so when I just stop it, so I feel like I have more energy to create, especially when some time like go by. And so you understood that I was not so active before, and so it helps me. And I think to live a fit life, uh, to do some workouts, and do it regularly. So I do it myself, and I recommend it for patients, because I cannot recommend what I'm not doing as a
Yeah.
human.
So you're setting an example. Nice.
Yeah, so it was helpful for me, and I think it helped me to get a lot of energy.
Yeah. Well, it's not only about physical fitness, it's also about how Tony Robbins calls it an emotional fitness, right? And I think the energy is like this focal point. It's a cornerstone for whatever we want to achieve in life. And mental health is, I think, is only possible if you are having like a great condition, if you stay in a great condition physically.
Yeah, so
Uh,
this is the human organism. It is more than just a piece of meat. It is
yeah,
it is the combination of physical, mental, and something connected with soul. Yeah, so the
spiritual.
yeah,
Yeah.
spiritual component. So it is the difficult system, and when it is in balance, so you're feeling great. And it is better than you treat all this type of your personality, all this piece of your personality, not only something one, like just physical or just mental.
You know, sometimes I come from the position of hatred or stress, or when I'm super angry and anxious, and I do something that I wouldn't ever do in my life, and I then regret. You know, and there is a great book right now, a new book. It's called The Courage of Compassion.
Mm-hmm.
It's written by a lady who's been working as a public defender.
Mm-hmm.
So she defend. So when they're criminals and they're accused of something, she's the one who defends them, and she tries to understand where they're coming from, because everyone are focused on the vengeance, on getting back to these people. They come from the position of, and that's actually interesting because when we come from the place of fear, we are not willing to listen, right? And I think with a lot of addicts, we are too fast to judge and we're too late to listen. And that's so cool that you have this curiosity and you can just talk to them and make them feel safe and make them feel like they're not. So, and I think what I want, since we're almost wrapping this up, I want to ask you about the such a lyrical thing as love, because I remember a quote from one movie with Woody Harrelson, where he was giving an advice to a young sheriff. He was a sheriff, and he was talking to this successor of his, and he said that you can only be wise when you have love filling your soul and your heart. uh, how big of a difference love plays in your life to be yourself, since this is the name of my podcast, to act in accordance with with your true values. Is that important, or do you think that there is something more important for a human being than love?
So of course you have to have love. And in terms of work, so it is like the things you are talking about criminals and people with addiction, so they're very connected, because a lot of people with criminal past, they have some addiction, some kind of addiction.
Yeah.
And of course, so just yesterday I was talking with one person. He is the Franciscan monk, and he work in yeah, in very cool foundation. So I will share these pictures in Instagram about this foundation. It is really cool. They help the homeless people and people with mental illness and addictions, and they do a really great job. And we were talking about love, and he told me a very wise thing, like you have to like um, take away your past, and
Hmm.
just like give away to God, to fool your body and mind with love. So
Hmm.
and it is very difficult for people with severe mental problems, with really difficult
To forget about your shortcomings, to forget about your
lives.
misdoings,
Yes.
some maybe crimes.
Yeah.
Forget about this whole thing.
Yeah, so they are always regretting, they are always thinking, and the people are always judging them. So
Yeah.
especially if they're homeless, so no one loves them. But
Yeah.
it is very difficult, and it is very important to have like a person that could help you and could like go with you on this way. It could be a mental health professional, it could be I don't know, religious professional, or some social worker. But so if you have someone to trust and someone to help you, to not judging you, so you can use this experience in future to communicate with other people, and uh, to have this love in yourself, to start to feel these good feelings, even though you were not very good person and do some bad things, but everyone could do a mistake. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
And I also heard this interesting idea is that if we were judged by the worst thing that we did in our life, would it be fair? I think not. we all did some shitty stuff in our life, right?
Yeah.
It just so happens that these people, they're judged by the worst thing that they have done because this something is now publicly available and they are being judged for that. So we're all not perfect and we all have the demons or the skeletons in our closet. Yeah. Katya, do you want to say something to like maybe tell about something that is upcoming in your life? Maybe invite people to check some information, some website, anything that you want to say to end up this episode.
So yeah, I'm really glad to share my experience and to talk about mental health because I love it, you know. And so, welcome to my Instagram page, Psychiatry for You. It is more educational and more about mental health and prevention. So, I'm trying to run it regularly, not so just professional, but sometimes so I will have a pauses, but I'm trying to do my best. And I will share information about upcoming projects. So, in terms of Spokiy project, as I mentioned, so welcome to our final conference. We have the website spokiy.org. And besides, in next couple of weeks, I will present my own website, so it will be in Ukrainian, yeah, but
Okay.
you could read about my career, about like the services I provide, and you could have a consultation if you have some mental health issues or just need to talk with an expert. So you could do it by using this website. So it will be
Mhm.
ready in a couple of weeks, I hope. So welcome. And what I want to ask you, please take care of your mental health. It is very important.
Guys, absolutely super important. Katya, thank you so much for
Thank you.
taking the time with me. It was a blast. It was a pleasure. Guys, take care. Bye.